Hi there. Welcome back to Indie Author Blueprint. This is a podcast that helps you navigate the world of indie publishing and gives you confidence and clarity on the steps that you need to take. I'm Michelle Rayburn, your host, and today we're going to dive into a topic that might sound a little bit technical, but it's absolutely essential for your success as an indie author. And that topic is metadata. If the word metadata makes your eyes glaze over, don't worry. I promise to keep this episode straightforward, practical, and focused on why metadata deserves your attention. Plus, in the coming weeks, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of choosing keywords, categories, and more, so stay tuned for those deep dives into those topics. I'll give you an overview of metadata this week, and then in those coming weeks, we'll get into those technical parts really specifically. This is where the content will only be available for paid subscribers, because this is the insider scoop that I give to my clients. You can get all the past episodes by subscribing for only $8 per month to Indie Author Blueprint on Substack, and you'll have everything that I've already covered, plus future episodes. This is your way of keeping me supplied with coffee while I supply you with my best tips. My clients are paying me by the hour when I'm coaching them one-on-one, and Indie Author Blueprint is my way of coaching you one-on-one, and you get it at a really great deal. So I hope that you subscribe, because you'll get all the free content if you subscribe. But then if you take that next step and you jump into paying the $8 per month, you're going to get all the bonuses that I give to people who are paid subscribers. All right, let's talk about it. What is metadata? Simply put, it is the information about your book that helps readers and retailers find, identify, and categorize it. So think of it like the DNA of your book's online presence. So when you go on Amazon and you're searching for a book, or any other bookstore that you're on, you're going to see things like your book's title and subtitle, the author's name. There will be a book description, which we call a blurb there. It's going to be assigned some keywords, which you aren't going to see on the front end, but you will see on the back end. There are categories or genres, which you will see there. The ISBN number or the ASIN number for your book, the publication date, the language, it might have the page count. Obviously, the price is there. So those are just the overview of some of the things that are part of the metadata. Think of it like breadcrumbs that lead readers to your book. It's easily overlooked if you don't leave the right trail to get to your book. It just gets lost in the sea of other books. So when you're indie publishing, I encourage my clients to gather all the info into one Word document. I do it for them if they hired me to do that. Otherwise, I give them the assignment of gathering their metadata, and I give them a list and tell them what they need to gather. Now, again, that list is going to be available in coming weeks for the paid subscribers to Indie Author Blueprint. But one of the things that you want to do when you have that Word document is you want it available when you're publishing, not laying on your desk, but available in digital format so you can copy and paste. And I encourage people to do this because when they're typing quickly on publication day, that is when it's really easy to turn around some letters in a word and type something wrong. And there are a few places when you're publishing where you can't fix it, like your name or the title of your book. So you want to get that on that document so that you have it and you copy and paste it into your publishing platform, and we will use it in some other places on publishing day as well. Now let's talk about why metadata matters. I've talked about it being a trail of breadcrumbs, but there's more to it. As indie authors, we're competing with millions of books in the market. Metadata is what makes your book discoverable on platforms like Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, wherever you are publishing your book, even libraries. It makes it so that people can find your book if they're looking specifically for something. And you know that we're not all spending the money to get into catalogs, and we know that catalogs are probably not getting in front of our customers. And so we need to find a way on publishing day to make it so that people can find our book. So here are some key reasons for why we spend time on our metadata and why this is so important. Number one, searchability. Metadata helps readers find your book when they're searching for something specific. For example, if someone types cozy mystery with cats into Amazon, your book's keywords and categories determine whether it pops up in the search results and where it falls on those search results. And so if we make sure that data exists out there, then it makes it so that particular reader gets matched up with your book when they do a search. The second thing is that we target our ideal reader. If your metadata is accurate, it ensures that your book is shown to the right audience. So if you have a romance novel that's sweet and it's considered like clean fiction, you don't want it lumped into the steamy romance category, because you're going to have reviews that come through because it went to the wrong person and they were expecting something different. So keywords and categories are your tools that tell retailers where your book fits. The third thing is sales and rankings. When your metadata is optimized, it can boost your book's visibility and sales. And more sales and more reviews mean better rankings, which in turn lead to even more visibility. So it's a cycle, and the metadata is what gets it rolling. I advertise for my books on Amazon, and this metadata comes into play with those sales as well, because there's some automatic advertising that's matching my metadata with the ad that I've placed. And so once this visibility gets going, I've seen it personally in how it works with my books, where it gets in front of more people and my sales continue to increase because of that. The fourth thing that it offers is professionalism. Good metadata signals to the readers that you're a professional author who knows what you're doing. And it makes your book polished. It gives you credibility alongside of traditionally published titles. And so especially that book blurb is part of that. That's something that I've been perfecting and polishing over time myself. And I have gone back and redone some of my book blurbs. If you're an author listening and you've already published books, I encourage you to go ahead and look and see, what did you do with your metadata when you published your book? Do you need to change your keywords and your categories and your book descriptions? If so, then you're going to find the next couple of episodes really helpful for you as well. Now, there are some common mistakes that people make with metadata, speaking of checking up on your metadata. So before we wrap up for today, let's talk about a few common ones. The first one is being too general. So I've seen people just use vague categories like fiction. You need to really nail down in that categorizing into the right category. And it takes a little bit of work. Even if you've planned it out ahead of time, sometimes on the day of publishing, you have to do some extra work. And so the more focused your metadata is, the better. The same thing with keywords. Don't just use women's fiction as your keyword phrase. We'll talk about why it can be phrases in a coming episode. But really work on getting that to be something that's not so general. The second mistake that people make is trying to cram every possible keyword into their book's metadata. So overloading keywords. This can actually backfire and make your book appear in irrelevant searches. And I have seen that happen with a couple of things that have been really hard for me to categorize. I've tried to get it into some things, and I've seen it ranking in categories that really don't fit it well. And so I've had to go in and do some tweaking there. The third thing is neglecting updates. This is a big mistake because metadata is not set in stone. If your book isn't performing well, you need to go in and tweak the keywords or re-examine your categories. Look and see what other comparable books in the market are doing, and see if you need to adjust there and see what's working for you and then adjust. And there's always changes. Like Amazon itself is a search engine platform. It has basically an algorithm. And so there have been some updates that I've been following from some experts that say you need to make some changes because the algorithm has changed. And that brings me to the fourth mistake that can be made, and that's ignoring trends. So there's change in reader preferences. There's changes in search trends over time. And so we want to stay updated on what readers are searching for in our genre, and that helps us to stay competitive. So going in and looking and seeing if my keyword phrase actually brings up something in a search result is super helpful. And I'll talk in a coming episode about how to test out and see if your keywords are working. And it's really kind of an organic way of doing it. And so it's not going to require you to purchase tools necessarily or anything like that. I'll give you some of my, what I call grassroots efforts at getting the word out about my books. So that's just an overview of what metadata is and why it matters. And I hope this episode has given you a little groundwork for understanding why it's worth your time to spend that time getting this ready before you go to upload your book. So we'll break it down even further in coming episodes, and there will be some blog posts and episodes combo. So you want to go find Indie Author Blueprint on Substack so that you can get all that the text that goes along with some of these. If I show screenshots and things like that, I do that whenever I can. So we'll be talking about how to choose the best keywords, how to pick the right categories, how to write an excellent book description. And so if you've ever felt lost or overwhelmed by metadata, don't worry, I've got you covered. We're going to talk about it. And I'll give you some resources for other places to go because there are varying opinions and teachings on how to do these things. And they all have different merits and benefits. And so I'll tell you what's worked for me, but then I'll give you some places you can research because there are, like I said, some really great sources out there. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for the next episode to drop, here's your action step. I'm going to give you one if you're a published author. Take a look at the metadata for one of your books and ask yourself, is it clear? Is it specific? And does it reflect what readers are actually searching for in your genre? Now, if you're not a published author, I'm going to give you a little different assignment. If you are still thinking about publishing a book, what I want you to do is go find at least 3 books that are selling well in your category that are the most aligned to your own book. So not just the category, but take a look at those books and see how closely aligned to your audience that you're targeting are those books. And that's going to be part of your homework because you're going to study those. So once you find a couple, I want you to look at what their book descriptions say. I want you to look at the titles of those books and go ahead and look at the categories that they're in. So that'll give you a little bit of a preview of some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Now, focusing on metadata can make a big impact on your book's discoverability. And so that's all we're going to talk about today, but we're going to talk about this important topic again next week. I want to thank you so much for listening. And if you have found this episode to be helpful, please take a moment to share it with a friend. If you have other indie authors who you know would benefit from it and it would help them build their own author platform and their own plans towards indie publishing, I would so appreciate if you would help to get the word out for me. And remember to subscribe to Indie Author Blueprint on Substack so that you never miss any of the content that comes out. So thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to diving into this topic even more next week.